Welcome, this is Yao Bantu. So those young people that you're seeing are from Malawi, the African country in the southeast of Africa. They are on a plane and they're heading into Israel. Yes, the same Israel that's in a state of war. And then the question that comes around is, why would young people fill up a plane from Malawi, a peaceful country, go into a war zone? It's a very good question. That is why we're discussing the topic today, and I am going to answer that question, right? But to just establish the context of the story. Now, this man that you're seeing now is the Malawi's opposition leader. Last week, he questioned in parliament, he questioned the government or the speaker. He said he had information that indicated that there was a plane from Israel en route into Malawi to pick up some young people as recruits to fight for the IDF, or the Israel Defense Force, in their war against Hamas, right? When that was mentioned, the Malawi government, obviously the speaker, the members of the government in parliament definitely and categorically said there was no such thing, there was no such plan, and there was no such plans and everything else. And it was so convincing. But anyway, it turns out a few days later that now stories began to circulate that the story was true. There was a plane that actually came in to pick up these young men and women from Malawi heading into Israel. And the evidence is the young people themselves have been posting ferociously on social media, to the fact that they're on the plane, they're in Israel. As you're seeing there, they are singing a song. That song is sung in a triumphant sort of way in Malawi. So basically, they are singing against the opposition leader. They're saying he is no match for them. So that song, normally when you win a game of football or netball or political party wins, they sing that song. Okay, so they're basically having a go at the opposition leader for suggesting that they are recruits going into Israel to fight war. So, what are they going to do in Israel? I'm not going to beat about the bush. I'm just going to go straight to it. They actually are working in the agricultural sector, the farms, mostly unskilled labor. Now, the story is that they have taken the place of people from Asia, like Thailand. These were the people who were working in these jobs, but since the conflict started, obviously their countries have gone in and evacuated them because it's a war zone. Okay, so as many other countries. I can only surmise that's why Israel now is going to Africa, to Malawi, to recruit these young people to work in the farms, because Israel at the moment, they cannot afford to have a food crisis. Obviously, they're young people, they're able-bodied people are out there fighting for their country, right? And then because the other people left, who's going to work the farms? Now, I'm not going to try to add on this story or to add information that I don't know or that I don't have. I'm just simply stating the facts of the story. No additions, no subtractions. There are quite a few things that people in Malawi are talking about the whole situation. Mostly it's the timing, okay? You are now recruiting, or the government has sanctioned the young people to go into a war zone, all right? At this point, everyone was getting their people out of Israel because it's a war zone, as I said. So why would then a government sanction that move? And another issue is the secrecy behind it. Most Malawians never heard of this story till the opposition leader stood up and questioned the government in parliament. What sort of criteria was used to recruit these young people? Where were they recruited? What sort of skills do they have? What sort of training did they receive? We know that they've been offered up to about 5 years of employment, right? And with a pay equivalent to something like $1,000+ USA dollars. Now, for many Malawians, that's a lot of money. But the other aspect to look at the story is the Malawi's ties with Israel. Actually, Malawi is close to Israel, if you don't know this. Malawi is one of the few, if not only the African country that moved the embassy from Tel Aviv into Jerusalem. So am I surprised that the first country that they go into Africa is Malawi? I'm not that surprised because of their strong relationship. Malawi's economy is on its knees. It's been on life support for a very long time, let's be frank. It's been coming for decades and decades. So Malawi is an agrarian-based economy, right? So they depend on agriculture. But Malawi doesn't produce enough to export. The main crop that Malawi used to depend was on tobacco. So we all know what happened to the tobacco market. And so then the country has not diversified. There is not much produce, there is not manufacturing base in Malawi. And there is a large population of young people that are there that don't have jobs. Okay, for all intents and purposes, you could actually argue the case that the Malawi's economy is on the verge or maybe collapsed already. If Malawi's economy functions, it just barely functions, just barely does. As I said, on life support. So there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of suffering at the moment. There's just been a huge devaluation of their currency. So prices of goods, prices of food, prices of everything, transport, everything has skyrocketed, right? Anyway, the wages and the employment levels are getting worse. All right. I think 80 or 90% of Malawians don't have employment, don't work. Now, if you look at it, it's in a country that doesn't produce much, so had to be rescued by the IMF with their extended credit facility. If you remember, Ghana was in the same shoes that the IMF had to go in and rescue them with these loans. With so many people argue, and there is evidence to suggest that these IMF interventions don't normally work. They actually perpetuate poverty, or they make the situations worse. So it's a very sad sort of situation that you're looking at, that, okay, we've come to a point where we're starting to send our young men and women into a war zone. If this happened a few months ago, of goodwill, then okay, let's bring in your people, we're going to train them, we're going to give them employment, they're going to come back there and contribute to the society and stuff like that, because we know that the Israelis are very good at farming with their advanced knowledge and stuff like that, which people can learn from it and import that knowledge back to their countries. But this has to be, the timing has to be good. All right, you can't go to Africa to get people in when you don't have a choice. It's a big debate at the moment. It's just starting to make headlines around the world and in social media. I'm not saying anything new that's not already in the public domain. Okay, I don't have agendas against the Malawi government. I don't have agendas against Israel. I'm just stating our point. All right, I'm just stating facts. I'm just talking about a story that's happened in the country and why I think it's a bad move by the sanctioning government, and also for the kids who are going there in a state of war, and how desperate we must be to be sending people where everyone else is running away from. So anyway, I wish them all the best, and I wish them safety there. The Malawians that are doing the jobs there, I wish them really safety, and that's all we can do. But this is a good discourse to have.